The story opens on a deserted road at night where a car is broken down. Inside that car sits a young woman named Ju-yeon, talking on the phone with her fiancé Kim Soo-hyun, who works as an agent for the National Intelligence Service. He is still on duty and tells her he cannot come to her right now. So instead he arranges a tow truck and tells her to keep all the doors locked and not to step outside under any circumstances. While she waits, a stranger pulls up and offers to help her, but Ju-yeon turns him down and tells him the tow truck is already on its way. The man seems to leave, but his car never moves from that spot. As the minutes pass, a deep unease begins to settle over her, and she decides to start the car and drive away herself. But before she can do that, the same man returns and smashes her window open. He beats her over the head with a hammer until she loses consciousness right there in her seat. He drags her away into the darkness without a moment of hesitation. It is here that we learn this is no ordinary person, but a cold and merciless serial killer who murders a young woman every few days, purely for his own sick enjoyment. His name is Kyung-chul. He has a table laid out with multiple kinds of blades and knives, and Ju-yeon is to be his next victim. She begs him on her knees for her life, but Kyung-chul shows her not a single moment of mercy and cuts her body into pieces right there. During this, Ju-yeon's ring slips off her finger and falls into a drain. Kyung-chul searches desperately for it because he cannot leave any evidence behind. He cleans every drop of blood from the scene, flushes it through the drain, and disappears. That same day, a young boy playing nearby stumbles upon a black bag lying on the ground. When he opens it, he finds a severed human ear inside which belongs to none other than Ju-yeon. Police flood the area immediately and begin their investigation. That is when Kim Soo-hyun arrives, desperate to get to Ju-yeon. But the officers stop him from approaching because what they have found at the scene is her severed head. Chief Jang, Ju-yeon's father, also arrives. The moment he lays eyes on what remains of his daughter, the ground disappears from under him. From that moment on, a fire of vengeance takes hold inside him that nothing can put out. When Kim Soo-hyun comes to Chief Jang, the chief tells him that even as a police officer, he could not protect his own daughter. So he places the burden of revenge entirely on Kim Soo-hyun's shoulders. He tells him that he must avenge her no matter what happens, because if he does not, he will never forgive himself for the rest of his life. That same day, Kim Soo-hyun takes 2 full weeks of leave from work with one purpose in mind and one purpose alone, which is to find the man who killed his fiancée and make him suffer every second before he dies. He collects a tracking device from a colleague that can monitor both sound and location. The police provide him with a list of 4 known serial killer suspects. Kim Soo-hyun plans to raid every single one of their hideouts until he finds the right man. That night, he breaks into the first suspect's home and beats him without warning. He ties him up and shows him a photograph of Ju-yeon's car to see if he reacts, but the man denies ever having seen it, and Kim Soo-hyun believes him and moves on. He tracks the second suspect, who is riding a motorbike, and deliberately rams into him on the road and beats him on the spot. But when he checks the man's face against his photo, he realizes this too is just an ordinary person and not the killer he is hunting. Back home, Kim Soo-hyun studies the third suspect's photo. The face staring back at him radiates a cold rage and menace that is unlike anything he has seen in the others. And while Kim Soo-hyun is closing in, Kyung-chul is already out hunting again. This time he pulls up beside a young girl standing alone at a bus stop and offers to take her where she needs to go. She refuses at first, but Kyung-chul works his way around her resistance until she eventually gets into his car. As they drive, his face shifts into something dark and terrifying. Before she has any chance to escape, he pulls the car over at a completely empty stretch of road and beats her to death with an iron bar. Kim Soo-hyun arrives at Kyung-chul's home but finds he is not there. So he speaks with his parents, and when he shows them the photograph, his mother confirms that this is their son. But she says they want nothing to do with him anymore since his wife died and he abandoned his own child. She tells Kim Soo-hyun that only Kyung-chul's son knows where he is. Kim Soo-hyun goes to the boy and gets the address from him directly. He goes straight to the hideout and begins searching the place. Inside, he finds bag after bag belonging to different women, which tells him everything he needs to know. Then, at the back of the house, he opens a door and finds a room soaked completely in blood from floor to ceiling. He knows without any doubt that this is where Kyung-chul cut his fiancée apart. Then something catches the light near his feet, and when he reaches down and picks it up, it is Ju-yeon's ring. Kim Soo-hyun stands there holding it, and something inside him breaks completely. On the other side of the city, Kyung-chul is parked outside a school in a bus, offering to drop girls home after class. He uses this every single day as a way to get a young woman alone so he can trap her. He drops every girl off safely, except for the last one who has fallen asleep in the back. When he finds her there alone, he takes her straight to his hideout and throws her into a large container. He is about to kill her when Kim Soo-hyun walks through the door. Kyung-chul asks him if he is a police officer, and Kim Soo-hyun says nothing, which is all the answer Kyung-chul needs, and the two of them go at each other with everything they have. Kyung-chul comes at him with a sickle, but Kim Soo-hyun beats him down. He grabs a stone to finish it, then stops himself because killing him quickly is not the plan, and never was. He forces the tracking device down Kyung-chul's throat so he can follow his every move and his every word. Then he leaves an envelope of cash beside him and walks away. When Kyung-chul comes around and finds the money inside the envelope, he laughs to himself. He thinks the man chasing him is just as insane as he is. But what Kyung-chul does not know is that the game of his death has already begun. He stands on a road looking for a lift, and a car pulls over and he gets in. On the back seat is another man whose face carries the same darkness that Kyung-chul sees in his own mirror every morning. The driver notices the blood on Kyung-chul's face and laughs. That laughter is the last thing either of them does, because Kyung-chul pulls his knife and kills them both before they can react. When he opens the boot to dispose of the bodies, he finds a third body already inside. It is the real driver of the car who these two had already killed and stolen the vehicle from, meaning all three of them were killers. Kyung-chul smiles to himself, thinking that nobody in this world is quite as far gone as he is. He dumps the bodies and drives away. The next morning, Kyung-chul goes to a clinic to get his wounds treated. While he is there, he spots a nurse and decides on the spot that she will be his next victim. After dealing with the doctor, he moves toward her, but Kim Soo-hyun arrives before he can touch her. Kim Soo-hyun beats him severely right there in the clinic. He takes a nail and drives it straight through Kyung-chul's foot. Kyung-chul writhes and screams, and Kim Soo-hyun tells him that this is only the beginning, that just as he killed his fiancée, he will cut him apart piece by piece before this is over. Then he leaves him there and walks out. When Kim Soo-hyun speaks with Chief Jang, the chief urges him to stop this and hand Kyung-chul over to the police because the chief is frightened of what might happen to Kim Soo-hyun. Chief Jang tells him that the police already suspect he is personally pursuing the killer and that it needs to end before things go further. But Kim Soo-hyun made a promise to himself and he has no intention of breaking it. In his injured state, Kyung-chul makes his way to the home of a friend who is burning something in a fire outside. Clothes and a suitcase going up in flames erasing evidence because this friend is a killer too. His name is Tae-ju. He is a different kind of monster altogether because where Kyung-chul cuts his victims apart, Tae-ju cuts them apart and eats them raw. Kyung-chul tells him everything, that someone has been tracking him and catching up to him no matter where he goes and torturing him every time before disappearing again. He tells Tae-ju they have to work together to kill this man because if they do not, he will kill both of them. Tae-ju tells him that whoever is doing this must have some connection to one of his victims, and that is why he has made it his mission to destroy him. All of this is heard by Kim Soo-hyun, sitting in his car with the tracking device, picking up every word. That night, Kyung-chul thinks back to the night he killed Ju-yeon and remembers that her ring fell off during the attack and that he never managed to find it. Then it hits him that the ring was in Kim Soo-hyun's hand when he was beating him, which means Kim Soo-hyun is the fiancée of the woman he killed. Meanwhile, Tae-ju drags a girl he had locked in a back room into his kitchen like an animal. She cries and pleads for her life, but Tae-ju feels nothing and picks up a knife to finish her. Kim Soo-hyun arrives and attacks Tae-ju without warning. He breaks the hands. He chains his neck to the wall and drives a knife through his hand. He tells him that what he did to those innocent women he is now going to do to him. He raises the blade and is about to bring it down when Kyung-chul appears above with a gun and fires. Kim Soo-hyun barely gets out in time. Kyung-chul searches for him and Kim Soo-hyun comes at him from behind. He beats him over the head with an iron bar again and again until the bar itself breaks apart from the force of the blows. He takes Kyung-chul and leaves. The next morning, police arrive at Tae-ju's house and piece together that Kim Soo-hyun has been conducting his own private pursuit of Kyung-chul the whole time. The officer tells the chief they need to find Kim Soo-hyun and stop him immediately, but Chief Jang tells them he does not know where he is. Kim Soo-hyun brings Kyung-chul to a doctor friend, and while explaining the tracking device to the doctor, he does not realize that Kyung-chul is only pretending to be unconscious and is listening to every word. Later, Kim Soo-hyun throws Kyung-chul down a tunnel, and when Kyung-chul comes to, he walks out laughing because he now knows the device is inside his stomach. He tells Kim Soo-hyun through it that he knows he is listening and that he has been enjoying this this game, and that not killing him when he had the chance was the worst mistake he has ever made. Then Kyung-chul tells him something that stops Kim Soo-hyun cold, that when he killed Ju-yeon, she was begging him with her hands folded because she was pregnant, and he killed her anyway without hesitating for even a second. Kim Soo-hyun stands there destroyed because he knows that if he had only gone to her that night, when she called, she would still be alive. Kyung-chul goes to a pharmacy and forces himself to swallow medication until the device passes out of his body. Once it is out, he kills a man at the hospital and puts the device into the dead man's mouth to send Kim Soo-hyun chasing a false trail. Kim Soo-hyun tracks the location and rushes there, but by the time he arrives, Kyung-chul has already killed the man at the pharmacy and disappeared in a stolen car. Kim Soo-hyun has lost him. He goes straight to the hospital where Taeju is being treated and demands to know where Kyung-chul would go next. Taeju tells him it is already too late because Kyung-chul is going after Ju-yeon's family. Kim Soo-hyun loses control and attacks Taeju right there in the hospital bed. Then he races to call Chief Jang, but Kyung-chul is already at the door. He breaks in and caves Chief Jang's skull in with a dumbbell. He is moving through the house when the chief's younger daughter arrives home and sees the destruction. Before she can run, Kyung-chul comes out of the shadows and attacks her. Kim Soo-hyun arrives at the house, but police block him at the door. One officer rounds on him in fury and tells him that if he had handed Kyung-chul over when he had the chance, then the chief and his daughter would still be alive. When Kim Soo-hyun gets inside, he finds that Chief Jang is still barely breathing. The chief reaches out and shakes his hand one final time. He tells him he cannot forgive himself because he has now lost both of his daughters, and then he is gone. In that same moment, Kyung-chul calls and tells Kim Soo-hyun that he warned him this would happen, that his revenge is complete, and that he is going to surrender himself to the police right now so that Kim Soo-hyun can never lay hands on him again. He stops his car in the middle of a road and steps out with his hands raised, but before the police can reach him, Kim Soo-hyun gets there first and pulls Kyung-chul into his car and tears away from the scene. Police give chase, but Kim Soo-hyun loses them. He brings Kyung-chul to a prepared location and tells him that the first time he let him go was a mistake he will not be making again. Kim Soo-hyun ties Kyung-chul to a post and presses a burning cigarette into his eyes. He drives an iron rod through his mouth and watches him convulse in agony. He tells him that all those years when people screamed and writhed in front of him, and he enjoyed every second of it, now the positions are reversed, and he is the one enjoying it. Kyung-chul weeps and begs him to stop, but Kim Soo-hyun is not finished. He mounts a large blade directly above Kyung-chul's head on the post. He ties a rope to the door of the room and feeds the other end of that rope into Kyung-chul's mouth so that the moment anyone opens that door from the outside, the rope will be pulled free and the blade will come straight down and take his head clean off. He places the tracking device beside Kyung-chul so that he can listen to everything that comes next. Then he walks outside. Before leaving, he calls Kyung-chul's family and tells them to come to this address. Kyung-chul's father steps up to the door and tries to open it. Kyung-chul screams at the top of his lungs for him to stop, but with the rope jammed in his mouth, his voice comes out as nothing more than a muffled sound. His father hears nothing that sounds like a warning and pulls the door open hard. The blade drops, and when Kyung-chul's severed head rolls out in front of his own parents, they begin screaming at what stands before them. Kim Soo-hyun listens to every sound of it, and his revenge is finally complete, but when it is all over, he does not feel relief. He breaks down and weeps because everything he did and every person who died along the way still could not bring his wife back to life.